Hello and marhaba. My name is Sarah Badawi and I would like to welcome you all with our Arabic phonics workshop. To begin, I would like to say shukran. Thank you all in advance for taking the time to listen to the session, and I'm really hoping to find this session informative and beneficial in terms of how phonics is being taught to your child. In this session, we will go over the aim and what phonics looks like in Arabic with some explanation and terminology. At the end of the session, if you still have any question, you are most welcome to send your inquiries on my email, which will be written at the end of the session. Now, let's start with today's session's aim. The aim of the session. Phonics terminology. What's the importance of phonics? Arabic alphabet name and sounds. How phonics taught in Arabic. Short and long vowels. Similar letters. Unjoined letters. Tips to support our children to identify phonics, and home-supported activities and resources. Phonics terminology. Phonics are made up from small units of sound called phonemes. Phonics teach children to be able to listen carefully and identify the phonemes that make up each word. This helps children to learn to read and spell words, and in phonics lessons, children are taught three main things. The first, grapheme and phoneme. A sound that is written is called a grapheme, and a sound that is said is called a phoneme. Phoneme and grapheme recognition come hand in hand as your child starts to learn read. They will make an association between the two. The second is blending. Children are taught to be able to blend. This is when children say the sound that make up a word and are able to merge the sounds together until they can hear what the word is. This skill is vital in learning to read. The third way is segmenting. Children are also taught to segment. This is the opposite of blending, and children are able to say a word and then break it up into the phonemes that make it up. This skill is vital and is being able to spell words such as طاولة, 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 which means table. Arabic alphabet name. In Arabic, we have 28 letters. And in Arabic, we start writing from right to left. So now I'm going to say the names of Arabic letters starting from right side. Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, Jim, Ha, Kha, Dal, Zal, Ra, Zay, Sin, Shin, Sad, Dad, Ta, Dha, Ain, Ghain, Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Noon, Ha, Waw, Ya. Now let's sound out the Arabic alphabet to be able to identify the sound. A, B, T, Th, J, H, Kh, D, ذ ر ز س ش ص ض ط ظ ع غ ف ق ك ل م ن ه و ي. Shapes of Arabic letters. The shape in Arabic letter changes according to its position in the word. So the letter at the beginning of the word, it's different than the middle of the word and end of the word. So for example, if we have a look here in letter ba, we will see that letter ba at the beginning, it's different than middle and different than the end. So it's so important, your child, to identify and differentiate the difference between the beginning, middle, end of the word of each letter, to be able to read it easily in words. Letters that don't exist in English. There are 10 sounds in Arabic that are not exist in English. Let's learn these letters and how to pronounce it correctly. In the upcoming video, we will learn together how to pronounce these letters correctly.
Ha, 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 ha. The sound of ha comes from the middle part of throat. We don't say it as the English sound ha, as in house. We say it as ha, from the middle throat. Ha, ha. Kho, 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 kho. Kha sound is pronounced from top throat. So it's the throat letter. It's not from the tongue, far tongue like ka sound. It's not ka, it's kha, 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 deeper. And there's kind of continuation there. Kha. Dhal, the, dhal, the. The sound of dhal is just like the sound of the in they and them in English. Sod, so, sod, so. The sound of sod is like the sound of sin but harder. So, so, sod. Dod, do, dod, do. The sound of dod is just like the sound of da but harder. Try to say dad in English. Now make it harder. Dod, 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 do. To, 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 to. The sound of to is very close to the sound of ta in Arabic and t in English. Try to say ta. You raise the tip of the tongue up. Ta. In to, you raise all of the tongue up. To, to, to. Vo, 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 vo. The sound of vo is very close to the sound of the. However, when you say the sound of the, you put the tip of the tongue between your teeth. The. And when you pronounce the sound of lo, you put more than the tip of the tongue between your teeth. Lo, lo, lo. Ain, a, ain, a. The sound of ain. Probably you're worried now and you think, here is the most difficult Arabic sound. But don't worry. Once you know the difference between the ain sound and the a sound, it will be so much easier. The sound of a, as in elif, is pronounced from the lower part of throat. A, a, a. However, the ain sound is smoother. Try to put your finger on the lower part of your throat. A comes from there. Now put your finger a little bit above. That's where Ain sound comes from, the middle part of throat. Say Ain. Ah, ah, ah. Some students find it harder if you add more sounds after Ain. Here's the trick. Make the Ain sound first. Ah, ah, ah. Then add the following sound. Ah, ow, I. I know it's challenging, but with enough practice, you can do it. غين غ غين غ. The غين sound, it's very close to the French R sound. غ غ غ. It's not ga, it's غ غ غ. قاف ق قاف ق. Qaf sound, it's not ka, it's qa. It's deeper than the English K sound, ka in Arabic. So it's qa, qa, qa. Kind of closer to the Q sound, to the English Q sound. So it's not a ka sound, it's qa, qa, qa.
Similar letters. In Arabic, we have some written similar letters and some pronunciation similar letters. So regarding in written similar letters, we have some letters, it's similar in writing but different in pronunciation. So if you have a look here, for example, a letter ba, ta, tha, it's almost same way of writing, but the difference only in the dots. And the sound is different. Ba, ta, tha. It's the same in j, ha, and kha. The difference only in the dot. Da, the, we also have ra, za, sa, sh, sa, da, ta, va, a, g, fa, qa. We also have 5 similar letters here. We already said 3 of them here, ba, ta, tha, and we have n and nya. It's now similar to these 3 letters only at the beginning or middle of the word. So it's so important your child to differentiate between these 5 similar letters. We also have pronunciation similar letters. It's actually opposite than the written letters. So in here we have some letters similar in pronunciation but different in written. Some of them we have to pronounce it light and the other should pronounce it dark. So if you look at here, for example, letter ta. The difference between these two letters, this is ta and this is to. Ta, to. And same in here. The. One we say it light and the other say it dark. The. Sa, so. Sa, so. We also have the and the and the last one ق and ka. So your child should differentiate between the pronunciation and differentiate between the written similar letters. Short and vowels. It's so important your child to be able to differentiate between short and long vowels. So short vowels in Arabic means حركات قصيرة. حركات قصيرة. And long vowels called حركات طويلة. حركات طويلة. Now I'm going to start with الحركات القصيرة, short vowels. In Arabic we have 4 short vowels. The short vowels, it make the sound different. So in here we have فتحة, ضمة, كسرة, and سكون. I'm going to start now with فتحة. So فتحة, it's a little dash on top of the letter and it makes the sound a sound. A, a. So in here I pick up letter ba and I add فتحة. So we have to pronounce it as ba. So you have to say the sound of the letter and open your mouth while saying it. Ba, ba. And the second short vowel is damma. And damma is short vowel and it looks like small letter wa on top of the letter and it makes the sound o sound. O, o. So if you add damma on top of the letter, we have to sound out and saying o. So b plus damma equal bu, bu, bu. And the third short vowel is called kasra. And kasra, it goes underneath of the letter and it makes the sound I sound. I, I. So b plus kasra equal b, b. And the last short vowel is called sukoon. And sukoon, it's a circle on top of the letter and it makes the sound pause. B, b. But actually I highlight the sukoon because it's different than the 3 short vowel. As the sukoon, it couldn't work on one letter. It has to join with letter that comes before. So if you look at here, we have to add a letter before the sukoon. So for example, a plus b equal ab. Ab means father. So sukoon, it can't be worked at the beginning of the word. It can only work at the middle or at the end of the word. Another example here, o, it's equal and means mother. Now I'm going to move to الحركات الطويلة, the long vowels. We have 3 long vowels and it's called مد الألف, مد الواو, and مد الياء. So مد الألف, it makes the sound longer. It makes the sound longer. So مد الألف here, the sound is So if we add b plus equal here ba. So in here we just say it short, but in here we will say it long. So the purpose of long vowels, it makes the sound longer. Ba. Now we're going to move to مد الواو. The sound of مد الواو, ooh, ooh. So I'm going to pick up the same letter, b plus oo equal boo, boo. And the last long vowels, it's called مد الياء and the sound is yee, yee. So b plus e equal b. So the short vowel, it makes the sound short and the long sound, it makes the sound longer. Unjointed letters or unconnected letters. And in Arabic, it's called الحروف المنفصلة. There are 6 letters cannot be connected to the left side. So if you look at picture here, you will find that these letters can be connected from the right side, but it couldn't be connected from left side. These letters are A, D, the, R, Z, W. So if you would like to use these letters in writing, you have to keep a space from the left side. So any letter comes from right side, it can be connected, but from left side, it doesn't make sense. So for example here, if we read the word of bab, there is letter A and it's one of the unjointed letters, so that's why I do a space here. And same in the word of toot, toot, because wa is one of unjointed letters, so I connect it from right side, then I leave a space, then I write the letter. Same as in Wissam. We have two unjointed letters here. One at the beginning, so I do a space here, then sa and a, one of unjointed as well, so I do a space. Same as dhura and madrasa. الشدة. الشدة is doubling the same letter only in pronunciation, and it looks like small letter W. The upcoming video will explain more how do we use shadda in reading.
And I'm going to write the short vowel symbols on the top left corner one more time to keep track of them throughout the whole lesson. Today we're going to learn a new symbol that is so important. And this symbol is shadda, and it looks like that. And shadda means doubling. So doubling of a letter. And from the way this symbol looks, it looks so much like the W, and it has two folds that are exactly the same, which indicates that it is two of the same. Two of the same sound, two of the same letter. That's why it's called doubling. So how does this work and how does it sound? In the example that I'm going to give right now, Jannah, Jannah, Jannah. As you can see that the noon has the symbol of shadda, which means that there are two times noon in this word. The first one of them is sukun and the second one has fatha. So that's why we say Jannah. And when we try to write or to spell it in English, we will have to pronounce or we have to spell the noon two times. Because we don't have the shadda in English, we'll have to compensate for that by writing the letter two times. So that's why we spell the word Jannah or any other word that has shadda with the letter two times. So we see that in the word that we have written in English, Jannah. So what else should we know about shadda? Shadda, the word shadda contains shadda, which is quite interesting. The first letter of the two must have sukun. So it must contain or have this symbol on top of it. The perfect circle, the sukun, or completely nothing because it also means the sukun. The second half or the second letter of the two of the double could be any of the three short vowels that you can see on the top left corner. So fatha, dhamma, or kasra. So what does that mean? It means if you add fatha to shadda, you're going to add the fatha on top of the shadda to look like that. And in case of dhamma, it's going to be the same way. And in case of kasra, we're going to put the kasra under the shadda, not under the letter, which will give the same effect.
التنوين. التنوين. There is a possibility of doubling the short vowels to produce a new sound. This phoneme is called التنوين. So if you look at picture here, you will find doubling of the short vowel. Fatha is double and Dhamma is double and Kasra is double. In the upcoming video, we'll explain more how do we use التنوين in reading.
We've talked about the short vowels in Arabic. They are fatha, dhamma, and kasra. And today we're going to talk about the possibility of doubling these short vowels to produce a new sound. This phenomenon is called tanween. Tanween means adding n or noon at the end of the word. We only add it in pronunciation, but we don't actually add it in writing. So for example, the letter ba with a short vowel will be ba, bu, bi. But if we're gonna double this short vowel, it will be ben, bun, and bin. And the addition of n or noon at the end of the word is the effect of tanween. We should notice that only in case of adding tanween of fatha, you need to add alif at the end of the word if the word doesn't end with alif. So how does this look with a real word? A word like kitab, which means book, if we want to add tanween at the end of kitab, we're going to have to add an alif at the end of kitab because it is tanween fatha. And for tanween dhamma and kasra, we can just add it at the end of the word. So kitab becomes kitaban, kitabun, and kitabin. Now you must be wondering, why does this even...
Here is a summary about all the short and long sounds in Arabic. So I'm going to use the same letter, which is ba, then I will read it with the short, long sound and التنوين. We'll start with the short vowel. Bi, bu, ba, b. Then I will read it with التنوين. Bin, bun, ban. And the last one is long vowels. Bi, bu, and ba. Tips to support our children to identify phonics. First step, help your child to identify sound and shape of letters. So, you are kindly required to support your child to identify the sound, such as b, j, kh, r, and try to identify the shape of each letter. Then the second step, support your child to differentiate between short and long sounds, and actually it's so important point. The third, start with your child with CVC words like kataba or darasa, and there is some attached resource to be able to help your child to do this. The fourth step, read with your child, not to your child. And the fifth, spend 5 to 10 minutes daily to keep practice phonics.
Thank you. Shukran, dear parents, for taking the time to listen to the session, and I'm really hoping that you are more aware about what phonics looks like in Arabic. Please, if you have any question, don't hesitate to send me an email. Shukran once again. Stay safe. Ma salama.